Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Chavoustie, who's not only known for his medical expertise, but also for the incredible mentorship he provides. One of the things that stands out about him is that many of his interns consistently graduate at the top of their class, which really speaks to the level of guidance and leadership he provides. I'm excited to talk with him today about his approach to mentoring future doctors and what it takes to make his program so successful. Dr. Shavasti, can you tell us a little bit about your professional background?
Well, I was born in Miami, Florida, one of the originals. I went to University of Miami undergraduate, University of Miami Medical School, and Jackson Memorial Hospital, University of Miami for residency training in obstetrics and gynecology. I was the administrative chief resident, which was a lot of involvement with student teaching and resident teaching. So I've always had a background for the love of teaching, whether it's pre-med, medical school, residency, post-residency. I then followed with an Air Force. Uh, I had to return time back to the United States Air Force. They paid my medical school, so I was chief of obstetrics and gynecology in Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. There I had residents and there I had students from the medical schools, and I continued teaching throughout my early career as a OBGYN.
Nice. So you were able to travel a lot, like you had mentioned earlier about going to Dominican Republic.
So I had a knack for doing global health medicine. So in 2003, I started my own program called Medical Students in Action that ironically Segal was a tremendous supporter of. And from 2003 until 2020, we traveled twice a year to the Dominican Republic, to the rural villages in the mountains, providing medical care. I would travel with 25 Spanish interpreters from a local high school, also 25 to 40 medical students from University of Miami, and usually about 25 physicians and dentists and nurses from the locale of Miami or outside of Miami.
That is amazing. So what inspired you to support the internship program here at Siegel?
It was kind of an evolution that came upon by itself. From my early beginnings here in 2007, I always had either pre-medical students or medical students from University of Miami who would come over and shadow with me. At that time, it wasn't as formal as it is now. These students would come, they would sign a confidentiality agreement, and then they would need to get research hours. So they would come for the summer months usually, and some of them would extend the stay throughout the winter months and coming in maybe once or twice a week. That's probably well over 25 to 30 students who I've mentored who never went to work for Siegel. Later on in 2016, these students were so exceptional that I talked to Bonnie Siegel and I said, you know, maybe we should consider offering these students who have been shadowing me a research assistant position. After 1 year of shadowing me, they know how to do physical examinations, histories, EKGs, blood draws, uh, consent patients. They really learn so much that I said it's a great idea to have them come in and be full-time research assistants. So in 2016, the first student that shadowed me turned out she had already been shadowing me from when she was 14 years of age.
Wow.
She was now graduating from Vanderbilt. She was going to take a year off called a gap year, and she needed to boost her research. So I asked Bonnie, and Bonnie said, "Let's hire her." So she became my research assistant. So for 1 year, she worked as a research assistant. She applied to all the medical schools, got into multiple medical schools, but chose University of Miami Medical School, where she attended from 2017 to 2021. Later, she decided to go into OB-GYN because of her experience working here at Siegel. And so I wrote her letter of recommendation for residency, and she ended up applying for residency, got in. She's was the administrative chief resident, which is the top resident. That's the #1 position at Jackson Memorial Hospital. And she graduated and went into private practice in South Miami. And this morning, know this was going to happen. She actually saw my daughter-in-law for her first prenatal appointment. So she's probably going to now deliver my granddaughter or grandson, which is pretty poetic since I've known her since she was a high school student.
That is amazing. It's like full circle.
It is full circle.
Yep. So going on to the next question, what do you believe distinguishes your internship program from other similar organizations?
I take it very seriously about teaching. I find that this is our future generation. Hence, I'm telling you, the doctors I see today are my former students. So I feel that I've pretty much would say I was a pretty decent doctor, that I like to pass on my knowledge to the younger generation. So I find that that's a little bit of it. The other is I enjoy talking and teaching. And, by the time I get to my age, I have a lot of knowledge, so I like to share it. So part of our internship here is every week when the students are here and they're shadowing me, whether they're a paid research assistant or a research assistant volunteer, I will present an article to them. They'll review the journal article, and then we'll sit down. And it's usually a 1 hour at lunchtime discussing the journal article. It can be topics from everything from suicide, opioid use disorder, ectopic pregnancy. A lot of times I'll tie it into one of the clinical trials that we're working on, so it just gives a little bit more meaning to the trial. And this is something I found has always been exceptional. The other thing is I will write the letter of recommendations for these students when they're applying to either residency or to medical school. You think about it, I have a lot of information on them. I've watched them work with patients. I've watched them work with the staff here. I watched them, greet people. And so you get to really know these students very well.
Perfect. So what core skills do interns typically develop during the time with you? What are the core skills?
All right. They learn how to take a detailed medical history. Everyone that finishes with me knows how to do a physical examination. They know how to conduct vital signs, perform an EKG, perform blood draws, assist with doing an informed consent process. I teach them how to sterilize surgical equipment. And in fact, my current intern sterilizes all of the equipment for me that is being used in two of our inpatient trials right now. She also puts together the surgical kits in detail with all of the supplies that are needed per subject for these two inpatient trials. So they get a vast amount of experience. I know once they go to medical school, a lot of the faculty will come up to me and say, God, this student is exceptional. Where did she learn to do pap smears or set up for a colposcopy or set up for an endometrial biopsy?
That's awesome. Seems like they're very hands on.
Well, it helps me.
Yeah.
I mean, I just said something earlier is that who would have to make up these surgical kits and sterilize the equipment? It would be me.
Right.
So by assigning a task to an intern, you're teaching them at the same time they're realizing the importance of sterilized equipment and having a perfectly packed surgical kit when you go do a procedure.
So, what feedback or evaluation methods do you use to help the interns grow during the program?
All right. I have a program here that I have to I have to retake my OBGYN specialty boards every year, and it requires reading journal articles and answering 8 questions per journal. So a lot of times what I do is I'll assign the pre-med student or medical student to review a certain number of articles that they find really interesting, and then help answer those questions. So I give them tasks to do. During the day, I'm assigning them tasks all day. And for purposes of this, I always call them my turn, TERN. And so I tell them my turn's going to do this, my turn's going to do this. And just like in the real teaching hospital system, your intern does everything.
Right. Next question. Can you share an example of an intern who went on to succeed after completing the program? I know you mentioned there's, I think, a few or all of them.
All right. So let me give you, let's start with the last intern I had.
Okay.
Okay. So Sammy, we'll go by Sammy. came here as a pre-med student because she went to apply for a research internship at a local hospital. I won't name the name, but the hospital told her that she would have to pay $300 a week to do this internship. So somehow she got my name from one of my previous interns and reached out to me. And I said, well, let me interview you first. She came on board. I saw that she was industrious. She was able also, she was a master at making clothing. She actually made me a surgical scrub cap that I wore yesterday during my procedures. She worked with us as a volunteer intern until January. And then at that point, Bonnie said it's okay to hire her. We needed an intern, and she was qualified to do EKGs and blood work and histories and assisting with physicals. So we hired her. She went on to get into multiple medical schools, but more importantly, as an intern, she ran a student public health clinic because of how well trained she was. And her training came from here. Her training came from, working on hand on. She, worked 5 days a week, 9 to 5. Rarely, I don't think she missed one day of work.
That's amazing. Amazing. What feedback have you received from former interns about the experience and how it helped them in their careers?
Well, I get that feedback because I run into them at all the health fairs that they actually say that their experience at Segal working here as a research assistant uh, gave them the best training for their first, second, third year of medical school because they also uh, learn besides taking the history and physical, they learn anatomy because we have detailed anatomy teaching here. But I've taught every one of them how to suture. So everyone who's gone through here with me at the end of the year, I have a freezer full of cow tongues. I teach them how to suture, how to close a uterus on a C-section or how to close an episiotomy on a vaginal delivery. So they all leave here with surgical suturing skills.
That's amazing. So you do go far and beyond for them.
No, it's listen, I want them to be the best. And
Right.
like I just said, my the number one resident is now taking care of my daughter-in-law. So that speaks for itself.
Yes, of course. I know that earlier today you kind of went through all the different pictures and your interns. Would you like to show us?
Let me show you. So I take you over to my proud walk of former students, interns, and I was just talking to Ailey that I've had probably well over 30 plus students have internship with me. And it really all started from a lot of these students were students that traveled with me on my global health mission to the Dominican Republic as Spanish interpreters. And then they came back and then they would call me to shadow. But the ones that actually got employed by Segal are only the ones I'll talk about today. But the first one was Dr. Alex Alvarez, who shadowed me from 2016 to 2017, and she got into University of Miami Medical School. And this picture is her and I in the Dominican Republic after working probably 12 hours in 100 degrees. You can see the sweat on us. And so she is now the practicing OBGYN in South Miami Hospital and taking care of my daughter-in-law. So she referred me to another student following her who was Katie or Kiki, I'm sorry, Kiki Dow Esquivel. So Kiki was here from 2017 to 2018, and she, volunteered, eventually got hired after a couple months, and she, just strong worker, never missed a day of work. Applied to Med School, got into Med School, and ironically, of all of these ones on my wall back here, she's the only one who went into psychiatry. So she is now a third year psychiatry resident at the University of Miami Jackson Memorial Hospital. Maybe hopefully will come back and work as a PI with Dr. Kakar.
Yes, that would be amazing.
She was number two. The next one that followed suit was Dr. Adriana Marabona. And Adriana I had from 2018 to 2019. and Adriana actually published a paper with Segal's name on it in the Infectious Disease Journal while she was an intern here. And she went on now, she's a second year OB-GYN resident at University of Miami Jackson Memorial Hospital. So she followed suit going into OB-GYN. I don't need any more gynecologists. All right. So she referred me, Lola, Lola Montero, and this is peak COVID. So Lola came to me June 2020 in the middle peak COVID. And we were conducting all these trials on children. In fact, you can see the little happy, smiley child there, doing the COVID swabs and the COVID treatment trials. So she was all destined to go into OB-GYN. And then she calls me last year and to write her a letter, and she goes, I decided to go into OB-GYN. I go, oh my God. I said, I don't know what I'm creating here. But so she is now an intern in the department of OBGYN at Jackson Memorial Hospital in back of Adiana. Then my next one was Ariana Vasquez. So Ariana Vasquez is now a third year student, and she's applying for OB-GYN. She was here as, again, student intern, became a full-time employee, and was with us for 1 year, and then went off to UN Medical School, and she's now applying for residency. And then the next one after her was Danny Fernandez. And then this is a picture of Danny the day she got accepted to UN Med School. And so again, Danny is going into OB-GYN. And so I just worked with her last week. A couple weeks ago, she ran the Key West Health Fair that I was the physician at, and she actually ran it. And it was unbelievable. Her level of efficiency, and I always say these kids are so efficient because they actually worked in the real world. Mm-hmm. They got a paycheck, they saw patients, they input data, they managed the CTMS system, and I really say that their success in med school and why they're the top of their class is because of their work here. And then my last paid intern is Sammy Garcia. This is her acceptance letter, and I mentioned her earlier. She's doing stellar, first year medical student, master seamstress. She's always sewing clothes for me and scrubs and surgical caps, but she was the last paid one. Bonnie referred me one recently who Annika Quenbeck, and Annika is now applying to med school. So I'm writing her letter too. By the way, all these letters of recommendation are on Segal letterhead. So I'm writing her letter of recommendation. And not only is she a phenomenal intern, and she's non-paid at this time, she also is the lead singer in my band, a phenomenal vocalist. So we have practice tonight. So she's my next intern. And this summer I got another one who's going to come, and she'll be a volunteer until maybe get a full-time position.